Even though we are a technology company, we're an information technology business, we're an IT services company, we're really in the people business.
While we're in IT, so we're in the IT services industry, we're really a people company by choice.
Atrion culture is people. It is the family. It is this group that are coming together to do great things.
The following special program is brought to you by Atrion IT Technology, Rhode Island College, Cardi's Furniture, and the Arpin Group. Hi, I am Peter Arpin with Renewable Now, and we are thrilled to bring you 5 great shows on Newport, Rhode Island. Its history, strength in tourism, and using the ocean to support its many thriving industries and to find some of the secrets to its amazing global reputation and global draw. As exciting and historic is the opportunity to bring you these shows from one of the fabulous pillars of Newport's traditions, its amazing architecture, and one of the sightseeing giants, the International Tennis Hall of Fame and Museum. All of our Newport shows will be graced by their beautiful lawns, exhibits, and 18th century early American luster. Today, we will start with Mayor Harry Winthrop and get the mayor to tell us why Newport is so often referred to as the summer home of presidents, the center of one of the most successful post-World War II preservation efforts, and most commonly as the gem of the New England coastline. Stay tuned as we explore this Emerald City's past, present, and potential future greatness. Welcome back to Renewable Now. We are here at the beautiful Newport Hall of Fame in Newport, Rhode Island, and we are here with Mayor Harry Winthrop, who just came back from Florida. You're looking good.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah. Had a few days of rest and relaxation down there. Yeah, it was great.
Well, Mayor, we are so glad to be here. Thanks very much, and our thanks to the Hall of Fame and everybody here for hosting what will be a series of great shows coming from here. Interesting history with Newport. I was doing a lot of research, and your mustache would almost suggest you came from like a mausoleum. You might have been an original mayor.
From the old colonial days.
Yeah, you got me beat though, huh? I wish I had known. I would have curled up a little bit. Founded in 1639.
Correct.
And one of the things that's really interesting about Newport is its history started very much in trade and in export, in fishing. And one of the things that's really interesting too is a lot of the architectural beauty and what's been established here was established in the 1700s. One of the things I've seen and read as I was researching is Newport historically has been referred to as either the summer home of presidents or one of the most successful preservation movements which took place after World War II. Those two things, how important are they to what Newport is today?
Well, I think it's extreme. Those things are extremely important. But let me take you back even to the founding of Newport. Newport was really founded based on religious freedom, and that's when John Clark came because they were being persecuted in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. So they came to Newport where they could worship freely. You know, that's why we have the oldest Jewish synagogue in the country, and we were, a big Quaker town, and with Catholic churches.
And there was a touch of Roger Williams.
There was a touch of Roger Williams, but the real hero here in Newport is John Clark.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, right.
I remember reading that, and again, it's very interesting to see some of the early industries, the things that were established, because they're still here today. They're
right.
Still consistent, fishing and things like that. One of the things in looking back is to see that the Navy first established here right after the Civil War,
correct.
Right? Long time ago, has had a very big presence, pulled back, I think, during the Nixon years, but they're still here. What is their impact on Newport today?
Oh, it's always been a significant impact. I mean, you can go back to when the U.S. Naval Academy was here in Newport, up here on Bellevue Avenue. It now is the Elks Lodge, and I believe they were also housed on the Navy base for a period of time. So, I mean, there's been a long history, and we had the two Admiral Perrys that are both from Newport. You know, one is Admiral Matthew Perry that opened up trade with Japan. It was huge, and then his brother Oliver Hazard, who was the real war hero. So, I mean, it goes way back into the colonial times, you know.
And
with
what's
those
the
two.
relationship now? I mean, they seem to still have a very significant presence. We're going to do a show with the rep from the Naval War College, but what is the relationship with the city? How important? What are some of the influences that they have here?
I mean, take the economic impact that it has. That is hugely significant, and it's not just the Navy, the regular Navy themselves, which we absolutely love having here. We love having the Naval War College here, but it's also all of the engineering contractors that work with the government and work with the defense contractors who are housed over on the Navy base. They have a significant economic impact on Newport. And you know, when you go back to, you started talking about in the Nixon era, when Nixon lost, I mean,
Yep.
we did not vote for Nixon in Rhode Island. So
Right.
one of the first things that Nixon did
Cut
was
back.
pull the Navy out.
and down in Quonset too,
And
right?
Quonset Point as well. Like
Did they pull out completely in Newport? Or?
all of the ships left.
Okay.
Some of the command schools remained.
And
And today there are a significant number of command schools, and I believe they've added to it.
And so that created a huge void in the economy in the city. Tell us a little bit about recovering from that. How did you build back? I mean, because Newport is a gem. It's known across the world. It's got a terrific mix, terrific economy. How did you pull out of that decline?
Well, there were some leaders here in the community that started the redevelopment commission, and they actually looked at what's the best way to utilize, you know, the natural resources of Newport, and that's when Newport began to be transformed into the tourist community that it is today. You know, back in the late 50s and the 60s, you know, we had the Jazz Festival and the Folk Festival, and we did have the America's Cup, but it was all these little special events, and there was no big one tourist focus.
Okay.
After they pulled out, there was a redesign of the downtown. Not everybody likes the way that the downtown was redesigned, and I think if we did it today, it may be a little bit different. But
We're going to talk about some
yeah,
of those
but the
potential
fact of the
changes.
matter was, because they took the initiative and they beautified the area, it started bringing people into the city from a tourist standpoint.
Real quick, we're going to go to break, but when did they start to restore the mansions, which are obviously a familiar sight here, and when did they start to be a big part of the economy and the tourism?
Well, as soon as the tax burden on the owners got so significant that they couldn't handle them anymore, or they didn't want to pay the rate, they got turned over to the Preservation Society. At which point, the Preservation Society stepped in, rehabbed the mansions, opened them up for tours and tourism, and it's probably the largest museum draw in the entire New England area.
Now that's really interesting. So that's quite a transition, and really an economic transition from where it became a burden on some of the owners to where it became this huge public asset.
Correct.
That's one of your foundations, I would think.
Yes, it is. But you know, at the same time, that was going on. We also had the Newport Restoration Foundation. They were restoring all the old colonial homes
Right.
in Newport, and we probably have the largest collection of colonial homes on the East Coast. Not that there's any colonial homes on the West Coast, but you know, we have a significant presence, and you can just walk the neighborhoods, the Historic Hill and the Point section,
Absolutely.
and you can see them all.
Okay, give us a minute. We'll be right back. So you can see it goes straight.
At the International Tennis Hall of Fame, it's all about the game, the history, and the legends. You can be part of it all. Tour the museum to learn the history of tennis and the fascinating stories of its legendary stars. Play tennis on the historic grass courts. Witness tennis history at the annual induction ceremony.
Thank you so much.
Become a member or plan a visit to the International Tennis Hall of Fame. Learn more on tennisfame.com.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a 600-pound gorilla, able to pack any home in a single move. Look, pulling up to our house. It's a delivery. It's a truck. No, son, that's the Arpin Moving Guy. An advanced mover from the Arpin Group, sent to defeat rogue movers and moving giants that provide bad home moves. He delivers customer satisfaction, quality work, and award-winning service. For a super move, call Arpin at 800-343-3500 or visit arpin.com. The Moving Guy, saving the world from bad moves, one customer at a time.
Cardi's is focused to give you a better night's sleep.
by working with those who have the same goal.
Like our nation's most recognized sleep specialist, Dr. Bruce.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bruce. I'm here at Cardi's personally training Nairobi's team to assess your sleep habits and needs, focusing on my 4 tenets of better sleep: thermoneutrality, balance of pressure, complete relaxation, and tranquil sleep, all of which will help you get a better night's rest.
Enjoy an introductory free Dr. Bruce box spring, Cardi's Furniture.
Even though we are a technology company, we're an information technology business, we're an IT services company, we're really in the people business.
While we're in the IT services industry, we're really a people company by choice.
Atreon culture is people. It is the family. It is this group that are coming together to do great things.
Thanks so much for staying with us. And I'm getting chided over here because we are at, and you should have told me this, Mayor, the International Tennis Hall of Fame and Museum in Newport, right?
Right, one of the most beautiful buildings in the entire city.
It really is, and we're going to do a show with them, but I think they told me that this building is actually predates or is older than the mansions, which is pretty amazing. So talk about encompassing a history, but also a mecca for tourism and for some of the things that are very positive in preservation,
right,
and using it as an asset today.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the legs of our tourist stool. I mean, the huge draw that they have up here with not only the tennis tournaments, I mean, because that is huge, but they also host the opening night for the Jazz Festival.
Yeah, that's right. So don't let me forget, it's the International Tennis Hall of Fame here in Newport. You'll have to kick me if I get it wrong. Let's talk about changes for the city. We've looked at the history. Where are you at now as far as kind of a green team, looking at resources you have and how you can better manage the city going forward?
Right. Well, we have an Energy and Environment Commission that advises us on green policies. That's one thing that we have. We do have a recycling coordinator who's also involved with all of the green initiatives.
So when you look at energy as an example, I'm assuming that would include your buildings, your city buildings, and managing the energy used there. It would include, I would think, modes of transportation, biofuels, electric vehicles. How comprehensive is that?
Well, in terms of energy, obviously we want to be as energy efficient in the buildings that we own as we can possibly be. So we're always looking at different aspects of how do we upgrade the facilities so that we can manage them on a cheaper basis.
Yeah, because taxpayers and money and giving a better return on investment. Let's step back. So you're the mayor.
Yes.
But how does it work here in Newport? Who runs the city and kind of the infrastructure here?
Right. Well, the mayor and the council are sort of like the board of directors, or we are the board of directors for the city of Newport. We set policy. Okay. And the city manager runs the day-to-day business. Within the city, she runs the police, the fire, the public works, public services, all of that.
Okay. So it's a little bit different because we are doing, of course, the Green America Hometown Tour. We've stopped in a number of cities. Tell us, though, one of the things that you hear about for Newport is, you can put 25,000 cars a day here in the peak season in the summer. What have been your plans, your efforts using ferries, mass transit? What have been your efforts, complete streets, to push some of that back, to reduce the number of cars that are on your city streets?
Well, probably the best example of that was what we did this summer with the World Series, America's Cup World Series that we had here in Newport, where we had, 25,000 visitors each and every day. And we actually did a significant shuttle operation over the water, much more significant than we do on some of the other events.
So you had places, centralized places, people could...
We had places over in Jamestown, primarily Jamestown, Quonset Point, and they would be shuttled into the city, and we actually shuttled people from the downtown out to Fort Adams from our peers down at Parati Park.
You're implementing some complete streets, I believe, here in Newport, which contemplates pedestrians, which contemplates bikes.
Correct.
Which hopefully allows retailers also larger sidewalks. Is that something that you see across the board, or continuing to get invested in here in Newport?
We're going to make significant investment in those things. I mean, the next big investment is going to be on Broadway. We're actually going to redo the entire street. It is one of the 3 main arteries in the city that brings people into the city. We're actually going to redo the entire streetscape as well as all the sidewalks, widen the sidewalks out, make it so we can, the bars and the restaurants can have sidewalk cafes.
Yeah.
And those types, and plus make it safer for the pedestrians, because we have some areas on Broadway that are so wide, it's very dangerous for pedestrians to cross.
Yeah.
So we'll be narrowing that down.
Becomes much more user friendly, and again, they're sharing. You've got bikes and other modes of transportation. Do you see electric vehicles being a part, and charging facilities being a part of Newport's future?
At present, there hasn't been any discussion on that. I mean, if there were, it would really become a private business more than the city coming in and setting something like that up. I mean, if there was a market for it, I'm sure somebody would come forward and provide that.
And you hope that there would be, right? Because again, if you had electric vehicles of all types, really, and you had the charging facilities, it could certainly make a significant impact on your emissions and the quality of the air here in.
There's no question about it. A former mayor that I served with, Mayor Bob McKenna, said the best tourist that we have is the tourist that leaves their car at home.
Yeah, absolutely. You had an election here recently in Rhode Island, and there was talk about potentially a casino being approved in Newport. That was not approved, is that correct?
It was not approved by the Newport voters for the Newport Grand here in Newport. No, that's correct. Although the voters did approve statewide gambling referendum.
And I believe there was a casino up in Lincoln that was approved. Is that a disappointment as far as one of the things that's been talked about is if Newport had casinos, it could almost be like a Monte Carlo, and you have these incredible mansions, you have these incredible facilities, you obviously have incredible assets with the beaches and the restaurants. Right. Was that a disappointment? Do you think could have built off of that?
Well, I personally was disappointed. I supported the referendum because I thought it was the right thing to do, because it was going to ensure that we were going to preserve the 200 jobs that were there and the nearly $1 million in revenue that we got from the casino. Or it's really considered a slot parlor, not a casino. So I was a little bit disappointed. I think there was a lot of misinformation that got out to the voters, and the casino people promoting it did not have an opportunity to.
But it continues
to respond.
To be an important part of
It's an extremely important part, and I know that they've got a business plan that's going to keep them viable. At least I hope that they certainly do. Okay. But I think that there would have been some assurances that they definitely would have been staying around had that been approved.
Expanding. Give us a minute. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Maureen Carey, publisher of Rhode Island Natural Awakenings magazine. I'm excited about our new partnership with Renewable Now. Natural Awakenings is a free monthly publication committed to providing services and information to our community to improve your quality of life physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll find cutting-edge information on natural health, nutrition, fitness, personal growth, green living, and the products and services that support a healthy lifestyle. You can find our magazine at health food stores, coffee shops, yoga studios, libraries, and wherever free publications are generally seen. We are locally owned, locally produced, and supporting the Rhode Island economy naturally. You can find us online at rinaturalawakenings.com.
We are back here at the International Tennis Hall of Fame in Newport, Rhode Island, with Mayor Winthrop. What are some of the sustainability initiatives? You had touched on one that happened, I think, this summer.
This summer during the America's Cup World Series, there was a whole sustainability component associated with it, and there was a group that organized the sustainability portion. You know, the recycling, the carrying your own water bottle, and providing water for you over there.
I saw even the Go Green solution people were here.
Correct.
The recycle bins were very, very visible. Do you feel as though you made a material impact? Do you think there was less waste? Did you see that from a city perspective?
I would certainly hope that we did. I don't know what the numbers, whether they did a comparison that would show the tonnage, whether there was a difference or not. So I really am not all that sure.
We'll follow up on the radio side on that. You have a lot of restaurants.
Correct.
Here, a lot of great restaurants, hotels. How do you work with them to encourage, buying local? Because in and around Rhode Island, agriculture has been a terrific success story. I know you mentioned you don't have farming or vineyards here, but you do certainly on Aquidneck Island,
Correct.
And they're very successful. How do you encourage those things?
Well, we don't have a set program that asks the businesses to buy local or spend local. We just certainly hope that that's what they will do. I mean, because it's the right thing. It's the right thing to go, to do.
Do you think tourists expect those kind of things when they come to Newport?
I think the tourist really just expects a great experience when they come here. I mean, there are people that really would like to know that all the food that they're getting is grown locally and it's organic and so on. But each of those decisions gets left up to the individual business owners.
What are the major industries that you support here in Newport?
Well, I mean, purely the industry of record is the tourist industry, the hospitality industry.
What about fishing?
Fishing is not as big as it had been in the past. I mean, that's more up in the New Bedford area. I mean, we still do have the lobster boats that go out. We have we house all of the boats down at the State Pier. So there is a venue for them to work out of.
You have the yachting museum here?
Newport Museum of Yachting, correct.
Is that here? And what about boat and shipbuilding? Is that still a part of the terrain here?
Well, it is in the restoration side at the Newport yachting school. Most of the restoration has moved out of town to the Portsmouth area. They actually have a industrial complex out there for that, and it works out very, very well.
Okay.
A lot of the boat builders in the repairers, other than the Newport Shipyard, which has really been a tremendous asset here on the waterfront, many of them have moved out because they couldn't afford the real estate any longer.
Okay, and it gets pushed out by bars and restaurants, and part of the economics. You have a very good land trust here.
Yes, the Aquidneck Island Land Trust.
How important is that to Newport, and is that part of this overall, preservation here obviously has been hugely successful. You have preserved some amazing history and architecture. How does that fit in?
It fits hand in glove. Just recently there was a discussion about doing some sewer work in a city park, and it quite possibly could have happened. But the Aquidneck Island Land Trust came in. They says, hey, it's not the right decision to make. If you preserve it, we will provide you with X number of dollars. I forget what the amount was.
So it becomes a little bit of a partnership.
Yes, it does. There's no question about it.
And the city does, in fact, work closely then with groups like that, right, to try to, again, make the best use of the asset you have, including land. Have you been able to preserve? It seems like they've preserved quite a bit of land here.
They have, and we've also have Mrs. Dorrance Hamilton, who's preserved a tremendous amount of land on her own. Using her own money. So the combination of the two has worked out quite well for Newport.
And it's certainly not cheap, right? It's expensive. It's expensive real estate.
Right.
Let's take a look ahead. 10 years from now, how do you see Newport? Are there major changes? Is it significantly different? Is the mix different?
I would like to see us continue to grow, and I think there are some areas that we can do that. I firmly believe we need another hotel in Newport. They're putting up the hotels out in Middletown because economically it makes sense for them to go do it.
Because what? It's cheaper in essence to acquire and build there?
Right now there's not a lot of land in Newport for hotels, but the city of Newport owns a parcel of land which is called the Visitors, the Gateway Center we call it. And it's primarily a parking lot, with a Visitors Center on there. What I would like to see when we reconfigure, or the state reconfigures the on and off ramps of the Newport Bridge, I'd like to see that Visitor and Convention Bureau Welcome Center moved out there, so we can enter a public-private partnership and develop that parcel of property, potentially with a hotel, maybe some high-end stores, apartments, and things of that nature.
So when we talked about industry, I know there's the Aquidneck Island, is it the business park, which is right close by, and there you've got some tremendous companies, innovative companies, Raytheon and so forth. You've got the War College that's innovating a lot of energy policies and so forth. Are there other industries, other things that you'd like to see come here to Newport, or that you can continue to cultivate? You do have Salve and some the educational components, but again, what are the things that you'd like to see grow?
Well, I think the thing that's really going to just grow is small business. I mean, you know, people that are entrepreneurial come in, they want to open up not so much a bar or a restaurant, but maybe a boutique.
Yep. Either retail.
I have to say lingerie store because my wife just opened up one in Newport.
Well, there's a good plug, right?
Just recently. But,
and I'm assuming the city is helping to cultivate that. You've got policies, places to help incubate small business?
Well, one of the things that this council is doing, we've encouraged the city manager to hire a director of economic development. We haven't had one for a number of years, and when the last one that we did have, they sort of made him the manager of the parking fund and the waterfront fund, and that's not what we want. We want someone that can come in and tell us what do we need to do with our zoning codes, how do we work with businesses to become a business-friendly place.
Are there tax credits, can you reuse buildings?
So people they want to come to Newport and they want to spend money.
And invest.
And invest in the infrastructure.
And build jobs. Thank you so much for your time. I'll be right back with some closing thoughts.
At the International Tennis Hall of Fame, it's all about the game, the history, and the legends. You can be part of it all. Tour the museum to learn the history of tennis and the fascinating stories of its legendary stars. Play tennis on the historic grass courts. Witness tennis history at the annual induction ceremony.
Thank you so much.
Become a member or plan a visit to the International Tennis Hall of Fame. Learn more on tennisfame.com.
Next week, we are going to take a much closer look at the history of the Naval War College here in Newport. However, for now, it is interesting to see this city adjusting to the Navy. For many years having a very large presence, then surviving an almost complete pullout, which very much impacted the whole state, and now thriving and keeping the military presence an important but not overwhelming part of their local economy. Newport has done a wonderful job of understanding their history, which embarked back in 1639, writing the economic fortunes of trade, exports, and fishing, what natural resources are available to them, and how to best use them without depleting those gems or running the economy into the ground. However, it is clear too, from our discussions with the mayor, that they can evolve, change, adjust, and use new technologies like clean energy to fuel a brighter, cleaner future. So, come back here next week to the show and the tour that bring you the business side of green as we turn our cameras onto the majestic, multifaceted, and critically important Newport Naval War College.